Welcome to Outsider Gaming. You're here today with your host, Paul. I'm lucky enough to be joined by a bit of a legend, somebody with kind of wears many hats. He is a movie maker, a producer, a director, even a restaurant entrepreneur. He is kind of has mixed with all of Hollywood at this point, worked with many A-listers, worked with many movie stars. He is also sometimes controversial, but always passionate. I'm so lucky today to be joined by Uwe Boll. Uwe, welcome to the show.
Hello, hello.
Hi, good to see you. So, I mean, we're predominantly, obviously, outsider gaming. We're all about video games. That's what we do. Uh, you, sir, have probably produced and directed stacks more kind of video game to movies than any other director. Like I would say double, triple anyone else. What draws you to video games to turn into movies? Are you a gamer yourself?
I mean, when how I grew up, there was not a lot of gaming possible, right? So I had the Commodore C64 and the
Yeah.
Atari, like this kind of very early on, and we played like tennis and like shooting the
Sticks on the
stones.
screen. Yeah.
Yes, so and for us, the jump was to going to an arcade and playing in the bigger machines when you had like the electric connected guns and stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
So means I'm not the generation where video games grow to the peak where what we have basically now, and what started with the super high-end developed games like Call of Duty when they started, Halo and stuff like this. When I think it came to another level maybe around 14, 15 years ago. And then since then, it developed further, what we have now with Fortnite and so on. So my kids, my one boy is 14, the other one is 9. They are like outperforming me in every game. And I have no chance, not in FIFA or Donkey Kong, whatever, Fortnite, no chance. Yeah. So, but I recognized for me, it was like, there are like comic books, but more visual. They have like why they didn't turn into movies. It was like when I did House of the Dead, that was 2003. That was my first video game based film. And that came to me from a company that already acquired the rights, that had a deal with Sega. They had the script written. And they said, if I want to jump on it as a director, producer to do that film. So that is how I did it. And then we really had like kind of a bidding war between Artisan and Lionsgate and Sony. They were interested to buy the film, and they released it. It was not an expensive movie to shoot. It was like $7.5, $8 million. And it did very well, especially then on DVD. In the movie theaters worldwide, I think it did only like 22 million box office, but then it made over 30 million in DVD sales. Wow. So, and that kept me digging deeper into it. And I put out like this kind of what games are out there who could turn into a film and who could be a successful film. And I made sure for myself that I don't do always the same.
Yeah.
It's like when you see I think Paul Anderson, whatever he did, Resident Evil, like whatever, I could do 7 times the same film. That would be in a way boring for me. So I looked out to do different genres, and that is how it came to Blood Rain, Far Cry, Alone in the Dark, Dungeon Siege, Postal. So so that was the short stories. Basically, it was a success to start with. And then besides some of the films were not box office successes, but they all did very well later in TV and DVD and Blu-ray. So I could continue doing it and work with big stars like Jason Statham, Michelle Rodriguez, and Ben Kingsley, and so on. So but I mean, you have more questions. I'm just
do it all in one. No. Yeah, like my experience of your movies, I think I'm blessed because they were just kind of at the right time for me. I was, early 20s. I was renting. I was away from home, kind of bit of college, bit of part-time work, living with friends and students and stuff like that. And you said it yourself. It was DVDs. Like we went to the video store and we rented a DVD, and there was no critics no social media. There was nobody telling you what to watch or what not to watch. You just went into the store, you looked at the cover, you read the back of it and said, yeah, that's kind of for me. And I'm a total geek, so I was big into gaming. You're wearing the t-shirt, like Blood Rain was for me the first two games amazing. Had them on the PS1. And I think that was the first movie of yours that I picked up because Blood Rain, I know that's a video game. And you know, read the back and took it home and kind of went from there. So I mean, yeah, I can understand the DVD sales are probably the big thing for you because that's how I experienced most of your movies. And phenomenal. I know you get some flack for some of your movies, but when there's nobody influencing you and nobody judging you, and you just watch a movie for the sake of watching a movie, very entertaining. Absolutely, very very good.
I agree. It's this kind of, you cannot expect from films like this that they're turning into Oscar running candidates or something. It's
No,
just entertaining, and it's also done for a special, in a way, age group.
yeah,
You know, when I go now to the movies, last week I went to the new Transformers with my son, right? It's this kind of like, it's entertaining even for adults, even if you know you watch kind of a silly film you saw already 6 times before, and it's the same art,
yeah.
right?
Forget about story or plot or any of that stuff. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
big on screen action. Good.
yeah.
Chew gum for
You
the
know,
brain, as they say. Entertaining. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. So, and I'm a big fan of genre films in general, and that they survive and that they getting done. I'm not the biggest fan right now about spending $250 million on every film, because the studios, I think they feel this kind of, we have to go bigger and bigger and bigger to get more and more audience. But that, as we see right now with Mission Impossible, with a lot of other films, The Flash and everything what came out recently, there is a cap to what movies
yeah.
can do. You know, when now Tom Cruise has 80 million on the first weekend and everybody thinks it's a disappointment, I think, no, it's not. But your expectations were totally outrageous. Not everybody goes every week to the movies, and they created too many of these mega films.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they basically destroying each other. You
yeah.
know, I mean, now we have Barbie and Oppenheimer starting at the same weekend.
It's crazy, actually.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
know, two totally different films, but they will take audience away from each other
yeah.
because there are only so many people who go to the movies
Mm.
on a weekend, and a lot of people will be in between. We want to see something really serious, Christopher Nolan will be visually amazing, or we want to see something like right. I mean, for me, it's a miracle how you can watch the Barbie film, but but people will watch it,
They
and even
will.
adults will watch it,
Yeah,
you know, and because it has good actors, and it looks like it's not necessarily a kid's film or something. It's more like a strange satire
yeah,
or on
yeah.
the
Bit tongue in cheek,
adult stuff.
poking fun. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, you know, and that is the thing. It's similar also genre films like Jaws, or the horror films. I grew up with Halloween 1 came out, Friday the 13th 1 came out, all that, Final Destination and so on. And for us, it was almost like an excitement to go to that films, because similar, you go to a live boxing event or something.
yeah,
It was like it took you, and you were scared, you were laughing, and you know, and it was crazy. And that is, I think, what movies are in a way about. And also when now kids playing games, they just diving in, you
yeah.
know, and then you're in a different world. And I don't see, I mean, it's not healthy to play 10 hours a day video games, but I think overall it's not the passive thing. Like when
Yes.
you only watch films and you don't play games, that it's just passive, right?
Yeah,
So you work in your brain with it, but at a game you can change the outcome. And I think that is not necessary a bad thing for kids to play with games in general. And I was surprised when I started with House of the Dead. What was before me? There was Street Fighter, there was Wing Commander. There were a few little films done based on games, but there was already full-on Batman and Superman franchises,
yeah,
Spider-Man franchise. They were already moving,
yeah,
right? And And for me, it was kind of strange that the studios and that they were not so interested in that video game franchises, even if they clearly sell way better as comic books.
Yeah.
I mean, now I don't think comic books, Spider-Man, I mean, my kids never read a Batman comic. They know all the films, but they never read actual comic books. So, and that is with games totally different. The people actually play that games.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's as you kind of mentioned there, like at the time, definitely on tap potential. Like nobody was really doing it much. And then the other extreme is where we've gone now, like your Marvel movies and things like that, where you can see the drop off. Like people have lost interest because there's too many of them. There's too many things to watch on streaming, and they all feel a bit the same. They're all big budget, they're all over the top, but they all have the same kind of themes, the same kind of pattern. It's the same sense of humor, the kind of Josh Whedon little, we're all going to die, but let's crack a one-liner. That sort of, we're all getting a bit bored of that. Absolutely.
Yes. Especially because CGI is so much developed that we grow all, like my kids grow up with it. For them, it's not visually necessary, mind-blowing to watch a Transformers film. They totally know and accept that you can put 3D animation things together with humans in a normal environment, and it looks absolutely realistic. So, but that said, it doesn't blow them away anymore.
Yeah,
it's just a given. It's a given. So, and now you have all this kind of, then you have the streamers like Citadel, and you have like Extinction on Netflix. You have also on the streamers stuff you don't have to pay, what is the same budget level, what has the same kind of computer effects, and that additional destroys in a way the box office, because you feel like also not so excited about it anymore because it's fake. They use Chris Hemsworth's face and put it on a basically animated body flying through a train over a hill down the ocean, whatever, right? Yeah. So it's not necessarily anymore you feel that could be real, like the old James Bond films. They are physically doing the shit, the stunt people doing it and whatever. And then it's maybe one of the reasons also with James Bond, it went too much in this superhero direction, or Fast and Furious. They went too much in the superhero world, even if they're normal human beings.
Yeah.
And I hate that.
When it should be grounded, it should be real. And they're able to do these fantastical things.
Exactly. And that is why since years, I'm not watching the Fast and Furious films anymore, because I feel like you cannot fall off a bridge with a car.
Yeah, well, they're only getting worse, as in they're only getting more and more ridiculous, the over-the-top stuff they're pulling off. And you're right, they're all now just invincible superheroes. Like, nothing will kill them. But you made me think of something there, because probably it's again a different generation. Like, I remember Jurassic Park for the first time in the cinema, and that had never been done, never been seen, and jaw on the floor. Like, everyone's blown away. But you're right, now where it just washes over you, because they can do anything with CGI, and they do, and they do it all the time. So it's like, it's lost that kind of the sheen it once had. It's now you can just pretty much see anything on the screen. And if you don't want to go to cinema, you can probably just wait a couple of weeks and it's going to be on Disney Plus or Paramount or one of those streaming platforms. So to kind of pull it back to your stuff, and I know you have a new movie coming out, and we'll get to that at the end. I know very little about it, so I can't wait to hear if you can tell me much about it. But kind of, I wanted to talk about some of the people you've worked with over the years. Like, if I was to read off a list, and you've mentioned some yourself: Ben Kingsley, Jason Statham, Burt Reynolds was one I noticed, and you've worked with Ray Liotta, you've worked with J.K. Simmons. I mean, the list is huge. Was there anyone who had, and I don't want you to single out a favorite or anything like that, but is there anyone you thought you were a little bit awestruck, or they had that special something that you think, they are a movie star, not just a person, kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, you feel I think as a director, I always treated them as normal human beings, and I'm in a way in that way their boss making a film, right? So I didn't treat them like I'm the boss of you, whatever, but I'm not like seeing up to them in a way. So I treat them, we do the film together and whatsoever. And I think they appreciated that I'm not starstruck or something, right? So, but of course, inside you feel respect, you feel this kind of, oh, that person really is a legend, like Burt Reynolds or Ben Kingsley, right? When you have him in front of you and you're on set and you say, this guy got the Oscar for Gandhi, he did Schindler's List and whatsoever, and now he plays a vampire guy in my film. You think like crazy, but they have to make money too, right? So, and I felt like with this kind of name actors, you cannot really direct them. You put them in an environment, they worked it out before, and then they deliver. So, and with Burt Reynolds, because he was already old on Dungeon Siege, it was not so easy because he had the whole armor on. It was very hot. I felt very bad for him. We had like people with fans like could start cooling him down and so on. We had a scene where he passed actually out and the stunt guy catched him. And but I have to say, there were not a lot of actors I worked with where I had like any problems with. Ron Perlman was great. I mean, J.K. Simmons on Postal did only one day. You barely had time to talk to him. I was only proud that he said yes to the part, and that he came to Vancouver to do it because he felt Postal is really, really funny. I want to be part of it. So, but with Jason Statham and so on, I was the longest time together, like 2-3 months was the longest and biggest film I did. And he was like unbelievable, like normal, no star bullshit. He walked alone. We went a lot of times like on Vancouver Island where we shot a lot of stuff. We walked to dinner, whatever. No bodyguard, no personal assistant. He gave a shit about all that stuff. And he twisted his ankle and it looked really bad. And then he got a doctor, like they taped it, like a sports guy gets taped, and he kept shooting stuff like this. So I enjoyed shooting with him, Ron Perlman and him. They got very good along, and it was like total fun to shoot with him. Ray Liotta, I shot 2 films with, Suddenly, and that crime movie, and In the Name of the King, Dungeon Siege. And he was on Dungeon Siege problematic for me because he was like very closed, and he told me he doesn't like this kind of films in general, but he just did it, right? So for the money, basically. And so, and he had his personal hairdresser and everything. So it was a little, let's say, uncomfortable. You felt like, okay, here's Claire Forlani, here's Jason Statham, they're all ready to roll, they want to shoot. And then he was like, oh, I have to do this and that. And on Suddenly, years later, was the totally opposite. He played the cop. He did that 100 times maybe in his career, right? So he was super comfortable and totally enjoyed the shoot with no problems at all. And he just delivered. I think it was the subject matter what threw him off. He maybe never had really sword fighting before and stuff like this. And so that was a thing what was a little different. And I mean, everybody else also on Blood Rain, Blood Rain was always like this kind of hardest trilogy I shot. Every Blood Rain movie was a huge drama because of the environment. So we had in Romania, the problem was in Romania where we shot in that original locations. Let's say the production organization was very hard. The food was shit, the hotels were shit. You travel, you shoot night times, it's pissing rain, nobody cleans you. Like there was not enough, let's say, service for the size of the acting people we had, right? I mean, there was Geraldine Chaplin, Billy Zane, Meatloaf, Kristanna Loken, Michelle Rodriguez, Matt Davis, and Ben Kingsley, and Michael Madsen. And you feel like, in a way, they are now in an environment where they get even nothing to eat because it's crap. The food was really bad. We shot really in the mountains and out of the main city. So that was a very hard shoot. And then Michael Madsen was, at that point, I hope he's over it, drinking too much, and Michelle Rodriguez, I love her. She was super creative, but she always tried to change everything. and that is the thing. When you barely get the shit done, what is in the script, you don't want to change the scenes because the other actors prepared to do the scene, and then you start discussing, no, we should do it this way, this way, this way, on set. That is always, of course, what the director producer, what you hate as a director producer. You want creative actors, but they should tell you days in advance, and say, look, in 2 days we shoot that scene. I thought about, I could whatever, don't come through the door, I want to dive through the lake, whatever, right? But I tell you 2 days before, and not like you're on set and then it's like, no, I should come with the horse or whatever, and you think like, we don't have the horses today, as an example. So,
of course. Makes sense.
I mean, there are a lot of anecdotes. It's interesting because in Germany are 3 books from me out about me and stuff, and in English is almost nothing done, but I have more fans in US or England as in Germany. So I always hoped for a publisher in English to do my autobiography or whatever, right? So and to release it. So maybe after the podcast people hear it, because I have, of course, so many episodes to tell from so many films with so many stars
stuff. Yeah, of course. Yeah,
it's interesting. It's interesting. So but overall, I have to say, I never had a real drama with actors where you feel, okay, that is it, I need to fire that guy on the spot.
Well, that's good. You could work as a team. And is there anyone in particular you'd love to work with again in an upcoming project?
I mean, Jason Statham, I stayed in contact with, but now he's so big, he makes so much money with Fast and Furious, so I'm not getting him anymore. So I think all the other actors would work with me again if the offer is right, if the project is right. And then we see, Elizabeth Moss was in My Heart of America. She turned in Hunger Games, in Handmaid's Tale, right? She's a big star now. And but of course, they all have agents.
Yeah.
It's like
it's when the agent you're dealing with more so than a conversation where, even if they'd love to do it, it's the agent who might say, no, the money's not right. Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, that is also a thing. What I think all my friends and whatever, they see it like, why you don't call them up? Why you don't do this? And I said, look, in the very end, every single actor I have a private email from or whatever will tell me I have to go through the agency. Mm-hmm. I cannot say on the phone I'm doing it, right? So they will not do it. And then the agents coming in, of course, and they want more money and they want this and this and this. And, or they don't want that the actor is doing the film because it's destroying his franchise.
Yeah.
So
their brand.
So there's so much politics in Hollywood in general, so many layers of people in between stars and decision making, attorneys and manager and agent and so on. So would be nice if it would be different.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Hopefully Jason's watching. I'm sure he'll do it. It's no problem. Yeah,
he's listening to this.
He's listening, right?
I should work with you again. Absolutely. So.
Speaking of,
I would work.
Sorry.
No, with Jason Statham, I would work right away again because I know he's very team orientated and very positive on set. I mean, he was not a miserable star who everybody hated or something.
No prima donna stuff or anything like that. Just down to earth. That's kind of what you want. Absolutely. You mentioned Postal, and I have to bring it up. First, I love that film. Which is, I don't think is that popular in opinion, but so again, back to, and you kind of hit it on the head as well. You said it's a certain moment in time and it's a certain age group, and absolutely in my 20s, sitting with the lads with a few beers or popcorn in the house, DVD, like that was on repeat. For me, it's like, and again, I know there's controversy, but it's not really, because it's done in the sake of comedy. It's for fun. And comedy should push the boundary a little bit. But yeah, my take on it, it's like watching kind of a cross between Airplane and South Park. That's kind of the feeling I get from watching it. And obviously, again, it's another kind of loosely based on a video game. But the video games have gotten very popular, and even there's a new one out at the moment. I know. I don't know if it's an anniversary release or if it's a brand new game. I think it's a new game. But would you ever consider doing a sequel? And do you think you
Yes.
could do a sequel in this day and age, or would it just be cancelled, cancelled, cancelled?
Yeah, I don't think Postal would get done again.
Yeah.
If you come up with that script now, I think they see that you are crazy, and they would. No agent, no manager, nobody wanted to have anything to do with it if they would read it. But I see it exactly how you see it, or I think actually a few million people in the world love Postal because it was so outrageous and it was an all side offender.
Yeah,
it's
a
not
cartoon.
like
it's not meant to be a real world. And you know, none of the jokes have a hitting message or political kind of. There's no. You're just, as I said, it's like an over the top cartoon.